Welcome back to Truth Be Told with DT and Telly, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. You heard the man. April is Financial Literacy Month, and every Wednesday here on Truth Be Told, we are joined by a representative from Educators Credit Union, and this week we are joined, this second week in a row. Love having Brett Nielsen in the studio with us. Brett, how you doing this morning?
Good morning. Doing really well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Brett always brings the knowledge, and definitely have me taking notes on what's going on. And something that is near and dear to me, having a 16-year-old daughter, it's about that time. Got to get a car.
Yes, sir.
Brett, please guide me. How do I even go about starting this out?
You know, even as I think about the when you say I got a 16-year-old, so my wife and I, we got 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
And so having 4 kids is, you know, the insurance, that's a whole nother topic. Because be prepared.
I don't want to even talk about that right now.
Your insurance is going to go up like crazy.
Yeah, at least you have a daughter.
Yeah. But when you wait before we get to that part, because I don't know if it's any different. A 16-year-old behind the wheel, I think it's a 16-year-old behind the wheel, but
16-year-old male
might be different.
Is a whole,
okay.
Yeah,
but,
that's a whole different ballgame.
But when you say crazy, Brett, like what are we talking? Because I want to be prepared for my insurance bill to get crazy.
Well, all I can say is, you know, plan early, right? Plan ahead. Be as prepared as you possibly can. And I think, you know, that really just should be the message this morning. Is just really, if you can, plan to save. Start the kids should be saving in this situation. If you can, you save. But the biggest thing is, you know, last week we talked about having relationships, right? Hopefully you have a relationship with Educators Credit Union, but hopefully you have a relationship with your financial. And you should know before you go to the dealership where you stand. You know your credit, know what you can afford, have a budget in mind, have a payment in mind, and stick to that payment. So dealerships are, and you know, my dealership friends that might be listening this morning, they're not going to like some of these things, but you know, they're not working for you, right? They're working for themselves, and they're trying to maximize their profits. So the best thing you can do for yourself is keep your dollars in your pocket.
It took me years, I mean years of grown-up life to figure that out. And the best thing, honestly, the best thing I did was come to Educators.
Awesome.
I got the best, when I tell you I got the best rate going to Educators, that was the best in my life. I feel like prior to that, I just had been cheated. Really, really.
And Educators is not paying Bailey to say this right now.
They're not.
Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Bailey.
But I mean, but it's honestly true, you know, and you know, planning ahead is so important. What else should we do, you know, before we walk on the car lot?
You bet. Well, again, I think coming to the credit union first, knowing where your credit's at, get pre-approved. I mean, a lot of people, I'm never ceases to amaze me how many people go to the dealership and you're just at their mercy, right? You wind up, and they put you through all the paces. You know, you got to remember they're there for 12 hours a day, and they're just waiting for those handful of people to walk in the door. And they're already ready. They're like, you just fell into a Shark Tank, basically, and so they're ready to put you through the paces and talking about price, and then you get handed off to another individual that's now ready to just attack you, basically, on the financing side. And you know, they're gonna run your credit potentially, you know, 5, 6, 7 different places, just trying to get you financed. And, you know, from the consumer's perspective, they just, you know, you're at their mercy basically at that point. I mean, if you're not pre-approved and you go in there and you just say, hey, I got these credit issues, or I got this situation, blah, 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 you know, they're basically going to try to get you financed through anywhere that's the best deal for them. And of course, they want to get you in a car, so they want to get you financed, but they also are looking out for their maximizing their profit. So, and I guess where I'm going with that is that they can mark up the rate up to 3% is the Wisconsin law. They can't mark it up more than 3%. And so, and usually they don't mark it up the whole 3%, but it could be a point or two, which will end up costing you hundreds, if not potentially thousands of dollars more in interest. Mm-hmm. So again, being pre-approved first, it just takes them out of the loop altogether. You know, they're not too happy about it, but
yeah. You're listening to Truth Be Told with DT and Telly, and in for DT is Bailey Coleman, and we are in studio joined live by Brett Nielsen from Educators Credit Union. Of course, April is Financial Literacy Month, and we're talking about the best ways to buy a car and when you should get approved. And you said, Brett, starting off with your financial institution is the best way to go about financing, because like you said, when you're at the dealership, you are at the mercy, and you don't know how many times they're running your credit and yeah, and then because your main focus, and they know you just want to get a ride.
Exactly.
You're just trying to get a car and at a deal at a price that you think is a deal. Most of the time it really isn't a deal at all. But Brett, let me ask you, is the dealer the best place to get my financing?
Point blank, almost 99% of the time, no.
Okay.
So
that is great to know. I've never tried to finance a car outside of the dealership. So
wow.
See?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm here for you this morning.
Exactly.
Then.
Once again, every week I find out something
there you go.
that I've been doing wrong for a really long time, baby.
Well, that's what we were talking about last week. You know, have a relationship, right? I mean, you should know where you stand. You should, you know, when you have that financial friend, you know, they already know. They should already know, like, hey, I'm coming up on this car for my 16-year-old. What am I going to do? What kind of how can you help guide me? And they're going to get you on that path, and they're going to say, hey, let's get you pre-approved. Let's see where you stand, so that you're not going in there blind, so that you're not at their mercy. But that small 1% sometimes offered through the dealership, and you've seen it on TV where they have, you know, some really, really low interest rates. Usually you can take one or the other. It's a really low interest rate or rebates. And now finally cars are starting to come back and get on the dealership's lots. I know we've seen a lot more during the pandemic. You saw a lot less cars on dealership lots. Now they're starting to come back, and so now they are starting to offer some of those incentives, some of those rebates and that sort of thing. More often than not, it's better to take the rebates and then come to the credit union and take our low interest rate, so you're maximizing those dollars saved. But you know, people are sometimes they're thrown back by the 1%. 1% sounds so much better than, say, 3% or 3.5%. So they chase after that. Yeah. But sometimes it's a better deal. You just have to look at what that. But we can help. You know, we can help advise you as to what's a better deal for you.
So, what are some of the most common mistakes people make when buying a car? You know, for me, I always thought. And I learned how bulletproof you can be walking onto the car lot when you already have your loan approved. It's like buying a house. You got to have an approval first. So you could go in and pick whatever you want as long as it's within your budget.
That's the number one thing. I think is the number one thing is get pre-approved, know where you stand, but then do your homework, right? I mean, don't just go blindly into thinking you're only going to spend, you know, $5,000. And then you get to the dealership lot, and then now all of a sudden you end up spending $35,000. Right. You know, do your homework. Don't just settle on that first car. I would say, you know, nowadays you can. There's so many different ways to search out vehicles. But I recommend people, if you want to go and actually see physical cars, go to the lot on a Sunday where no one's going to bother you, right? Look at some of those prices of the cars. These are ones that I like. These are ones I don't like. And then come in and talk to. We actually have, Educators has a vehicle solutions department that will work for you. It'll determine the value of your car. They'll help you find the car you're interested in. We offer leasing. We're really a one-stop shop in this area. We'll get you pre-approved. Our vehicle solutions department, second to none. I don't even know of any other financial institution that has a dedicated vehicle solutions department, and it's just like it says. It's a solution, right? I mean, our members want to get a fantastic deal on the interest rate, on the car, all of that. There's about 7 or 8 people that work in our vehicle solutions department. That's all they do is just cars.
So you were talking about pre-approval. How far in advance should you get pre-approved for a car loan?
Usually when a person gets pre-approved on an auto loan, 60 days is typically the pre-approval time. So allow yourself that time, right? And don't just jump in and get the first car or second car or whatever that you're interested in. Look for the best deal. And again, be prepared, do your homework, that sort of thing.
We're joined in studio by Brett Nielsen from Educators Credit Union. Of course, April is Financial Literacy Month, and Brett is joining Truth Be Told with DT and Telly. A representative from Educators Credit Union joins us every Wednesday through this month at 8 a.m. Make sure you join us because there's always some jewels that Brett or a representative from Educators drop about what you can do to maximize and understand what your money can do from you. But Brett, over the last couple of weeks, the one thing that it seems like everything kind of comes all the way back to is the relationships.
I knew you were going to say that.
Isn't that? It seems like that is the most important thing.
It is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at life, you look at your happiness, you look at family, you look at anything. What's the key ingredient? Relationships.
Yeah.
You know, why do things seem like they go right? Because I had a good relationship. You know, how do good things happen to me? It's because I had that good relationship.
Yeah.
And when you have a good relationship with your financial, and you have friends at the credit union who are working in your favor, again, that helps to keep dollars in your pocket. And so, you know, it's not by accident. You know, and it's in my title, right? It's in my title as a relationship person. So that's probably why I see so much value for sure.
Well, Bailey definitely understands the value in the relationship. How many cars have you?
This is my 3rd car.
That's awesome.
3 cars through Education. So clearly you've had some really good experiences.
Great experiences. And there's nothing like, you know, you work out your deal and then you go on the lot. That's very empowering, especially, you know, if you're a female and you're going out there by yourself.
Yeah.
That's very empowering to be able to walk on the lot and not be going, you know, hear the Jaws theme when you got to think about financing with the dealership. I did that many times before.
Yeah.
And it was always just like, oh my gosh, I got to deal with them, you know?
Yeah.
It's never fun. You're almost always getting tripped up behind the rate and all of that. But then when you've done that in advance, you know, and you have, you know, a working relationship with, you know, educators, then you feel great going in.
Yeah.
You feel like, okay, this is all me. I'm deciding what's going on here. You're not going to slick me up with your, you know.
Yeah. Well, like, hey, we'll take off $1,500 real quick. It's like, well, that's only a portion of my car note.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So it could be, yeah.
And if that isn't rewarding enough, I mean, so be afraid of the flip side, right? If you don't make the right choices, and if you don't do your homework,
right,
it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's going to carry on.
Right.
I mean, it's not, you know, car loans, as we know, are not 1, 2, 3 years. I mean, people are taking out 6-year car loans, 7-year car loans. So this is a long time, and by making mistakes, it will end up really costing you. So you can't be too anxious or don't get too excited about the process. Again, have trust in your relationship with the credit union, and it'll work out to your benefit for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Brett, we appreciate the time, but before we get you out of here, of course, this is near and dear to me.
Yes.
So one last question for me, and with once again having a daughter who is a part of educators, and a wife that's a part of educators, and trying to get her a car, do we come in as a family and try to work this out?
Great plan, for sure. I think that's a great idea. Again, as we talked about last week, don't have secrets, right? Talk about things as a family, and because you're all in this together. I mean, I think that would be a great idea, because we can help to reinforce kind of what's been happening at home as well, talking about money, budget. Hey, these are the things that mom and dad have been talking about. It's a great idea. All
right. Well, people on the Truth Talk and text line has been hitting us up, and Daphne has a question. And if you have a question, hit us up on the Truth Talk and text line, 833-212-1017. Daphne is asking you, Brett, if my credit score is 851, should my car interest rate be 8.9%?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, it certainly does depend upon the year of the vehicle. So the older the vehicle is, your rate is going to be a little bit higher. But I mean, for a high credit score like that, ouch. So, but the good thing is, it doesn't have to be, right. You can refinance that loan. And what I would say, if Daphne just got that car, come to the credit union. We would love to save her money. If she's got such a high score like that, you're going to fetch the best rate possible, and you can refinance that loan.
All right. Well, you heard it right there, Daphne. Go refinance that, because that's pretty ridiculous. 851. I was thinking, gosh, 8.9%.
Ouch.
851. You should have like
rates are
1.3% or something, right?
Rates are a little bit higher, but
wow.
But that still is a pretty high rate.
Yeah. Well, once again, Truth Nation, you can always text or call in a question, 833-212-1017. Every Wednesday morning on Truth Be Told with DT and Telly, we will be joined by a representative from Educators Credit Union. And this week has been Brett Nielsen. And Brett, thank you for your time. Appreciate you always schooling us on our money.
Awesome.
Or the lack thereof. All right. More Truth Be Told with DT and Telly after the break.